maybe give it a minute or so for more to pop on.
I would. Okay. Hey, Nicole.
So it looks like we've got quite a few people joining on board here. I think we're up to 12. That's great.
Excellent. Well, hey, I wanted to welcome everybody today for our fireside chat with our co-host here, Find Rentals. We're excited to have you guys, everybody, join us. So thank you very much. And so essentially the topic of today's fireside chat is Book Direct, right? Because we all know that there is a big movement right now, hashtag Book Direct. And it's very popular with many of the property management companies, especially within the NWVRP, because that's one of our main goals and main missions as well. We're excited to have Stephen and Cindy from Find Rentals join us, and Blake is going to join us as well as our panel. I'm going to ask some questions. If you have any questions yourself, if you could please put them in the chat box, and Corey will be monitoring the chat box, and we'll answer questions at the end of our session. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the questions and welcome Cindy, Stephen, and Blake to our panel. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, one of the questions that we have, we know that trending 2020 and the top 3 challenges in order and keeping up with the challenging regulations, increases in sales and commissions and marketing spend. So we came up with these questions ourselves. And so one of the first questions, and Cindy, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, is what is trending for bookings outside of OTAs? What do you think that is?
Well, the big trend is Book Direct, subject of our call here today. And we're seeing great growth there. We're seeing a lot of people be real creative, blocking out dates for the OTAs on high booking homes so they can get a bigger, better return on investment.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great. Stephen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think travelers have gotten a lot wiser over last year, especially with the OTAs rejecting a lot of the cancellations. And now with the recent announcements of traveler increase fees on their side, and actually the increases that are going to be, I don't know if the traveler really knows that as a property manager, you're going to pay a higher commission rate to them. And, how does that transfer over? But our business, and so what we see is, while we host a lot of brands and about 20,000 properties on our site, our big thing is actually educating the consumer on why to book direct. And we can go into that a little bit later on. But it's all, I think that they're becoming much more savvy. You got this millennial generation, they're on their phones, and they're starting to find new ways to, avoid having to pay those fees. People, they want to rent longer for less. So.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, good point. We've seen a lot of that, especially during the COVID years. If you were into a drive-in destination, drive-through destination, we did see a lot of lengthier stays. Blake, what is your thoughts on that? What is trending for bookings outside of OTAs?
Our company personally, we've seen roughly about 52% of our bookings are coming direct. That's just from working hard on ensuring that we're marketing ourselves out there as much as we can for that kind of traffic. But yeah, I mean, where things are trending, I think over the long period, I think it can piggyback on what Stephen mentioned, is that those companies that are very heavily dependent on OTAs right now, you're going to have to rethink your strategy. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, be it Airbnb or Vrbo. You need to spread that out. You need to focus on building your brand. And what he was stating, about the OTAs, they are seeming to all moving towards this flat 15% commission rate. Be prepared, Airbnb is going to announce something fairly soon for Canada and the United States, where they will be charging a supplier side commission. Don't be surprised to see Vrbo follow suit. And so we need to be prepared, and now is the time. If you haven't started yet, you should start a plan now on building that book direct type of marketing campaign.
Yeah, excellent advice on that one, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to find yourself behind the 8 ball and having to figure out, whoa, what just happened? How come I'm now getting charged at 15%? We also know that Marriott's entered the marketplace as well, and they're doing the same thing. They're charging at 15%. So I don't know where they came up with 15% or why they think their value is worth 15%, but that's what it is, and that's what we need to be prepared for. So excellent answers, guys. Thank you so much. So next question here, next thought. How can we, and Blake, I'll start with you. How can we compete with the marketing budgets of the big OTAs?
That's an interesting question, because Google, who accounts for the vast majority of global search, is the core to this puzzle, because most people use Google, and you're seeing this changeover of the big OTAs are starting to pull away from Google, especially Google AdWords campaign, because Google, they are a behemoth and they make a lot of money on advertising, but they also have a client base that's search, right? And they want to maintain a client base that searches, and they want relevant search for their customers. So they know that the key to the success for the future is to provide the most relevant and direct result for their customer. They want to get to basically one-click search. That's where they're aiming for. The OTAs are just giant middle companies. They're not providing a source category for those customers searching. So now you're seeing this battle starting to brew between the OTAs and Google, where some of the OTAs have already pulled out. So you've got this great opportunity to compete. A lot of them are pulling budgets out of Google AdWords campaigns, so you can now focus on developing your own SEO development on Google, and you'll find that the OTAs are going to push more towards a captured audience through app technology. So it's app versus search. That's where the battleground is being driven now, and Google wants to make sure they're not giving away all their search over to these app companies. So that's where things are headed.
Excellent. Yeah. Cindy, what do you think? How can we compete with the marketing budgets of the big OTAs?
I think Blake's right on task. Definitely understands what's going on. Great comments, Blake. The big thing is we don't want to compete with them. How they compete in our markets is, if you look real closely in the last 6 months, they're nowhere on organic search. We want to take back organic search. It's alive and well. They're paying ad space. We don't want to be paying ad space. We want to try to start pulling away some of our content from them as property managers, because the only way that they know what AdWords to pay for is based on the content that you provide for them. So if you have a home that books extremely well, you don't need their help. You can get the booking from your own website. You can get the booking from a site like Find Rentals. You can get the booking from your social media platforms. But those are ones that you don't need to have 15% commission going to them, and your guest doesn't need to be charged an extra $300 in processing. But we're not competing against them. I hear this all the time, and I really think we never really have competed against them. They're in a different venue. And the benefit to everything that's happened in the last year is that people want a real hands-on, close feeling when they make a booking. They want it to be personal. Well, the advantage is that the OTAs are not personal in any way. They're an automated service paying for ad space. Be a property manager, do what you do best, focus on your local area, listen to what your clients need and work with them, and you'll find that you won't be competing with them. They won't even be on your radar anymore.
Yeah, excellent. Great points. Yeah. So Stephen, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that obviously in order to, to get those bookings, you've got to have visibility. And to get visibility, you need to amplify your brand because they're not branding you. They're just branding your property. So they're taking over your property brand. What you need to do is separate yourself now. This is the time to actually develop that brand. There are a lot of strategies behind that. We as now a new member of the MW VRP, our discussions originally started with Blake and then over to you, John, where we were discussing strategies, taking a look at our strategies on branding and then taking a look at some of the methodologies that you're using in order to use referral sites in order to jack up your brand and get more traffic and eyeballs looking in your direction. So that's, and dovetailing off of what Cindy says is that you're right. If you wind up allowing them to manage your search terms, okay, you're done. Okay. So you need to like sit back, take a look at that long tail data on each property description and actually recreate that within your PMS system so that you got one set that goes to the OTAs and you got another set that you handle directly on your site. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I agree with that 100%. And I've worked very hard last year and getting all that lined up because I knew I was switching over PMSs, so I was getting ahead of that myself. But yeah, there was it's what I've done is not look at them and try to compete with them on a budget aspect, but more of what Cindy was saying earlier, the organic search aspect, right? I think that's huge. And it has allowed me to reduce my dependencies on Airbnb specifically. I don't list any of my A or B properties with them. I list my underperforming C properties, smaller units, and so I'm looking forward to the day where I don't even need them or get to use them when I want during my slow months and shoulder months, as we've been discussing. So, which brings us to the next question, right? How do I rid myself of OTAs when they contribute to 60% of my bookings or more? Or how do I grow beyond the OTA dependencies? So, Stephen, we'll start with you on that.
Well, so right now we're in a big lift. Talking to a lot of the property managers, more so on the East Coast and Florida compared to probably the West Coast, but West Coast is now starting to catch up. Where everybody is saying, hey, listen, I'm booked out for the summer. And, why do I need to keep marketing? And that's the time to start marketing. All right. Because you cannot give up an inch. So as part of your marketing, some of the things is maybe if you're getting that full, start to block out the OTAs from certain properties or certain date ranges, and then work heavily on trying to get direct bookings into those slots. Your margins are going to go up, okay? And you've now started to kind of slowly, peel back, that dependency. I know, Blake, you're sort of an anomaly, having 50-something% all direct bookings. The majority, it's maybe 30%, okay? So if you can get up to, if everyone here can get up to the 20% more, I mean, it's just going to amplify your margins and give you more control, less, disruption in the, I'm not a property manager. I hear the horrors that happen when properties aren't, booked correctly, through, these OTAs. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I have found in my market, the quality of the guests I get from Airbnb is not very good. It's certainly not as good as the one that comes direct. And I even get better quality people from VRBO. I don't know if that's just my market or if anybody else is seeing those trends, but that's interesting. So Blake, what are your thoughts on that? How do we decrease the dependencies on the OTA? It's something we've just
let's just put it that sentence alone is an entire conference. that
Exactly.
question. So to make a short answer, very difficult. I'm just going to suggest that the NWVRP does put a high emphasis on the book direct and how to get there through our conferences. I know we've got our Seaside Oregon conference coming up on in October 24th through 26th. There'll be a lot of coverage on this subject, and so we hope that everyone can come more in depth. But to make the maybe a shorter story to it is, you don't have to rid yourself of the OTAs. You just have to leverage them, as Stephen said, move them to a position where they're not dominating your inventory. Utilize the times where, utilize them where you need them. Shoulder periods, quiet periods, last minute bookings, like things opened up because of a cancellation. Utilize them for that. But most importantly, own your data, control that data, because these guests that are coming in from these sources are for you to remarket to. So ignore Airbnb when they're telling you you can't grab an email address and say, no, I need that for part of my operation. Those people are your future customers. They are your future referrals. You continue to market them, tell them how much cheaper it is. I know some members, I think, I'm not sure if we've got Luxury Getaways here, but I know Tara from there, she does a card that she gives everybody about the book direct right in the units that says, save money to book direct. This is stuff you can put right in there for those customers that have booked on Expedia or Vrbo or Airbnb or Booking.com. Market directly to them for the future. That will really help. But I think and it's difficult to do this, but as Stephen mentioned, this is really important, is separate your listing descriptions. Take your high quality SEO driven descriptions for your properties and keep them for just your website. Do not give that out to the OTAs. Create two. Make a lighter version that goes out to the OTAs, because basically what you're doing is you're writing high quality content, you're giving it to them for free, and then they're selling it back to you.
And they're getting the SEO juice on it too. So
that's exactly what that sell it back to you. So you're basically doing all the work for them, and then they're telling you you're going to have to pay upwards of 15%. Matter of fact, the rate's even higher if you count in guest fees and all that kind of stuff that potentially could be in there. So that, but it is a big subject. We're looking forward to covering much more in depth through webinars and through our conference.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. Well put. One little nugget of gold I grabbed from that was, when you're the OTAs, they provide you a lead. That's what they're giving you, right? So make the most of that lead that they just gave you and remarket to them directly. And so when you look at them that way, it is a good idea to what you say. You don't need to cut them out. Just understand what their place is, and as a lead source, it's great. So Cindy, I know we covered a lot of stuff there. But I'm sure you have something to add. What are your thoughts on it? How do we increase dependency?
Yeah, I think the guys did a great job. The big thing is make sure your property itself, if you've got to get your bookings from an OTA in the first place, Airbnb, VRBO, make sure they never, ever, ever book a second time there. Your property should have all the information highlighting who you are as a property manager on the refrigerator. Book next time and save the $300 processing fee. Book direct next time and save 10%. Even if it's book direct and get the best concierge services directly from our property manager, whatever it is. Put it in the bathroom where people sit. Put it on your refrigerator. I hear a lot of times from, I take a lot of inbound calls because I like to have my feet right on the ground. And I hear from people, well, I book with this property manager that works for Airbnb or VRBO. If you feel like you work for the OTA, quit your job and start working for yourself. That's the big one here. If you get to the point where you can contract them to do the things that you don't want to do, book your hard properties, the ones that are tough to get to. They've got tons and tons and tons of people viewing their properties. Give them the tough stuff to book. That's where you want your bookings at. That's where it's worth paying 15%. Keep your gold for yourself and make sure that you're making those bookings directly. So quit your job with the OTAs is my big thing.
Yeah, excellent point. And that's that's what I do. I give Airbnb my underperforming stuff and let them run with it. Steve, I'm just going to say, just check the chat box, Steve. I think there might be a message for you there. Okay, so next question. How can I grow my margin with my own direct bookings when OTAs quote our base price and then charge 10% travel fees separately? So Blake, you want to lead us off with that one?
I mean, again, it's going to come down to your property management software capability or channel management software that you may be using a service to get your inventory to those channels. One of the best ways to do it is upcharge the channel. You know what? That's what you do. I mean, I've heard people, you know, we've met in a number of meetings, some property managers are putting up 25, 30% higher on those channels. So if you're able to mark up those channels, do it. And because if the people really like your property and you're also doing book direct and you've got decent SEO and good organic positioning, you can also name your properties in a way that they can Google the name and find you directly as well. So you'll know why. So that's a creative little thing you can do, and without putting out your full name and address right into the description. But people will seek out book direct if it's much more expensive, and so that's one way you can do it. Ultimately, I mean, if you're in a situation where the OTAs are going to start pressing rate parity, walk away as quick as you can, because as soon as you start seeing that kind of language and they're trying to force that on you, then you may want to rethink that relationship. But again, if you're very dependent off the OTAs, this is the time to start pulling back, because when rate parity is actually enforced, they'll know, because those PMS systems that you use, give them the data, they can see how dependent you are. And they can eventually start coming and setting rates individually by each property manager, much like Expedia did to hotels 15 years ago when they were the most dominant booking system in the world for hotels. They'd literally walk in and say, you're going to give us 40+% or else we're going to cut you off.
Right.
Yeah.
So Blake, question for you. You know, within the property management software, because I know you've gone through a couple different ones. If you had two different naming conventions for each property, can you then separate the rates within the PMS for two different rate structures, one for the OTA, one for the direct book?
It would depend on the property management software. Some of them have that capability to mark up channels in their channel connections. That's a difficult one. That's a property management software by decision on each one. Channel managers generally have a better control on that. So if you are using a channel management third party service like Rentals United or Blue Tents, Res Fusion Boost, or any of those kind of things, they usually have the ability to mark up there. But I'm not familiar with like I haven't used Streamline, but I use Escapia right now. And there doesn't seem to be a tool where I can mark up separately on a channel there.
Okay. Cindy, I know we've got about 17 integrations already under our belt for property management software companies so that we can pull down the data. Do you know if we have the ability to, or if they have the ability to actually post two different rates in their system? I mean, obviously we're going to only show one because we're a book direct. We're not going to show what somebody would mark up for the OTA.
I know that there are a few out there that do that. They have for each partner that you list your properties with, you want to add 0%, you want to add 15%, you want to add 25%. So there are those opportunities there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
And given word to what Blake was talking about with this specific question is, I've seen people say, our guests love this area and search for your dream vacation, you know, let's say that's the name of the property, literally telling them what to do without putting it in the header so that they're not naming the property. The other thing we all have to be really super aware of is it wasn't all that long ago that before VRBO became Vrbo, you know, the massive change that they went through with that process, none at all. They tried to say, we are going to charge you for every booking you get, no matter if it's on your site or not. Right now, that is not happening. They changed their name to Vrbo. Not much else changed. If we think that that's not going to be an attempt that happens in the very near future when they're booking 80% of your homes, I think we're all in for a shock. Now is the time to get your listings booked direct so that you don't have to be with them at all in the near future when they implement that again, the way that the old VRBO had it implemented, where you paid on every booking, no matter if it came from your website, your own family member could stay there and they had a contract that said you had to pay commission on it. We want to watch out for that.
Yeah, I remember that. I think shortly thereafter they had kicked off an apology tour for a year.
They
I think
did.
they call it
that was
match
pretty
back,
funny.
didn't they?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But there's the deal,
But
They
you're right.
are-
What they'll do is they'll test the water. They'll put it out there. They'll see what kind of feedback they get. Obviously, with not good feedback on that, so they pull it back. But there's no reason they won't put that fishing pole right back in that water again and see if it'll work.
Yeah.
So,
well, if our view is always that we're worried how we can compete with them, their view is that they don't have to be worried. So our view needs to be what it should be, which is we're not worried about competing with them. We actually have the properties. We actually have the knowledge of the local audience, and we actually have the content. Without those three things, those are all king in every form of advertising. They have nothing.
right. Yeah. And I would add, we also have the relationship with the owners, which they do not
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Excellent points. Thank you.
Hey, John,
yes, sir.
somebody's marked up that they actually do mark up 10% on VRBO bookings. And so I would like to ask to that person, could you tell
Stacy.
us, in the chat, what software you're using?
Stacy. Oh, unmute yourself, Stacy.
I forgot I can talk. So
Oh, no.
our software is LiveRes, but I believe we are doing it with our NextPax channel.
Yep,
We
that
are
is one of them.
switching to Blue Tint. And I think we might even be going to 15% at Blue Tint to mark it up, but I don't remember. But yeah, 10% currently, and it's not stopping any of our bookings. We're at 56% organic bookings, and the rest is Vrbo because
Nice.
we have Airbnb as well.
Yeah,
That's
and
wonderful.
I know that I recently switched to LMPM and they have the ability to mark it up as well. So I have it marked up there as well. So my PMS does it as well. So I think that's, and I think you could do it in Streamline too. That's where I came from. Another trick that I would say to you, if just going back to what Blake was saying, if they ever do try to enforce price parity, which I think would be difficult to do because they already lost that case. I believe it was in Germany, they lost that case, but you can always put it under admin fee, right? Because you can make the argument it's an admin fee. Whatever I do is my admin fee is my admin fee, right?
Yep.
So you could put the 15% there. I mean, that's what I kind of do. And then when that's what I used to do. And then when I had people come to me and say, wait, why do you have a 9% admin fee? Well, because Airbnb's charging me 5%. You want to book direct next time? I'll take that 5% off that admin fee. So it also opens up the conversation and educates the traveler, which I believe the traveler is becoming, I've seen a significant increase in them becoming more aware of what's going on and booking direct as well. So I think our messaging is getting out to them. And I also think that, they're all looking at $400 or $500 fees and saying, wait a minute, this is groceries for the week. Why did I just do that? Why did I just pay a brokerage house is essentially what an OTA is, a fee to put them in contact with me. So that's one of the ways that I look at it, and I encourage my team to look at it as well. Okay. So this is a great one. So Cindy, I'm going to start with you on this one. What are some good keyword phrases to drive more traffic?
The answer is different in every single market. The answer is answer your telephone, talk to your guests. The things they ask are the keywords that they're asking Google for. They're using their live voice search. They're doing all of those things. Those are your keywords. Don't get stuck on that it has to be vacation rental. If you only have homes, it should be vacation homes. If you only have condos, it should be vacation condos. It's not vacation rentals. Get specific. with the keywords that your guests are asking for and that match your inventory and your location. Because what you want to have happen is that when that guest comes to your site, you just don't want to throw everything and try to make everything sticky. You want to be accurate about what you're targeting your SEO search terms for. So when they come there, they always find the right answer. And if they do, they'll remember your brand and they'll remember your site and they'll book with you over and over and over again.
Yeah, Cindy, if you're really specific, I mean, you've got to have some general areas, but you have to have some specific. Like I ran into one that's, you would think is kind of limiting, but it is what they're about. And they're all about vegan friendly. So they have a handful of properties that are vegan friendly up in Portland. And it's, you know, maybe it's what the travelers are seeking. And, you know, that's their niche, their focus. So just
Yeah,
a
that's
category, you
interesting.
know, yeah.
Yeah, that's a niche I would never have thought of, but sure, it's there and clever to market to it.
Yeah, and it's not just a specific niche. Find Rentals, we're huge and we have millions of people to our website every single year. And we do place very well for Book Direct, for vacation rentals. But do you know, although we get clicks from those sources and impressions on Google, where the majority of our traffic is from is what's called the long tail. And the long tail, the reason that works so well is when people had to type into Google every single time, they typed in the shortest thing they could. Now, when they pick up their cell phone and they say, find me a vacation rental in, you know, so-and-so and so, and I want to have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, they talk to it like it's their best friend. Long tail's your specialty. So make sure that you're actually, it's really easy on your websites. Almost every one of your IT people can help you. Make sure that every single word in your description is SEO'd, because that's where your long tail derives from. Make sure your tagline, you have a header 1 and a header 2. Those are real simple, easy things to do. They're called a tagline or your header line. Make sure that they really say what you want them to say. People, the more they voice search, the longer tail searches we get out there. And I'd say 90% of all of our searches come from those long tail searches that create a booking or go to our property managers. The big vacation rental wide searches, those are the searchers. Those are the lookers. They're not the bookers. And we want bookers.
Yep, absolutely. Great point.
So,
Yeah,
so John, I know we're coming up on that 45 minutes pretty soon. And so
Sure.
I would thought that maybe, you know, we talked about visibility and there's different strategies to get there. And, you know, we can talk about ours, but I thought I'd give the floor to Blake because, you know, Blake's opened us up to taking a look as a member to building links, you know, within our platform directly, you know, back to the property managers. So they're, you know, they're not booking from our site into your site. Instead, they're going directly to you. But there is a huge advantage to that for you as well. So I thought I'd open it up to you so you can, you know, because this is, I know, a mantra that you're marching down the road with.
Yeah. Very good. Blake, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a critical importance at this point. Well, building your online visibility, and kind of falls into how do I get my brand visible, and it falls under your SEO development. Is the critical part is getting the quality links. Those are quality backlinks or relevant backlinks to your site. And it doesn't necessarily need to fall on your homepage. You, as Cindy mentioned about long tail keyword locations, you could have a backlink from an article being written by, you know, the Seattle Times about traveling up the Oregon coast, and they've put a backlink to a specific page within your site is just as powerful as long as that page is indexed by Google. And if you've got a really good creative, or if you do it yourself and you're very good at creating those pages within your site, those backlinks are key, and building on them. So you don't necessarily need, the old school day was 10,000 links and link farms, and this is how people would set up sites that would, you know, literally have irrelevant links galore. And then Google kind of cleaned that all up in about 2011 and started considering those spam sites, and then you'd be penalized. But yeah, it's building up those important backlinks from from relevant content sites. Those sites like a DMO in your own region, they're going to promote tourism for your area. They're going to have, if they've got a lot of traffic and they've been around for a long time, those are quality links you can get pointing to your site. You don't even have to have a transaction come from that site to actually see it. But as long as they're pointing to you, you can see that when you're doing your analytics, who are your best referrals? What source referrals are powering your site up so that you get a higher position of those organics? And also the keyword side is definitely is going to be critical. Market to where you are, fill in those keywords. As I said, you're not going to compete at the vacation rental or Airbnb if you're using, branded kind of names on a large scale. Then you're just competing against billion-dollar budgets. I mean, it's just throwing money away. But those guys have a hard time doing that. But that's going to be critical. Getting those backlinks. If anybody's ever seen Dave Van Gotti or Wes Melton or Conrad, they all push this exact thing. You need to get those quality backlinks from great sites.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit on one that I utilize quite a bit, and it's our visitor place, right? Our Santa Cruz Visitors Guide online, and it provides great backlinks for me. And I know that Stephen and Cindy and you and I had talked about, Fine Rentals putting together some different types of programs, which will allow those type of backlinks to occur for us as well. And we can talk a little bit more about that, if you guys would like. And I also would, just take this time to say that Fine Rentals is also, put together a nice package for our NWVRP members. And so what I highly encourage everybody on this call to do, if you're interested, is to get in touch with Cindy and Stephen. And there's a couple different ways we can do that. We can, we're going to have you go through Corey at Update Management, or if Stephen and Cindy, you guys want to put your emails in the chat box there, and people can take that down. That would be fine.
Yeah, we actually, John, if Corey can throw up those we have 2 slides that actually talk about the programs, and they actually have our links in there.
Beautiful.
Can you go to number 3?
I'm getting just a second here. It froze on me.
That's okay.
No worries.
So we can drop down to number 3. There we go. So we're a subscription model. Okay, so it's pretty simple. We've packaged together. It was there. Slideshow ended.
Hold on.
That's okay.
Believe it or not, it was working perfectly 20 minutes ago.
There you go. It's there.
All right.
So what we've done is, so number one, and we kind of mentioned this to John and Blake, and they said, well, we better get this fireside chat webinar and this information out to our members, because our pricing, we've increased dramatically. We have over 20,000 properties on our site. And of that, we're basically just growing so much, and we've had a lot of feedback from a lot of the web development companies that we deal with, and they all said that we're overperforming and undercharging. So we are having a price increase in July. So we wanted to put together a package for your members and for non-members that want to sign up to become members. So we had $36 is used to be for properties of 50 plus. And so since we looked at your mean size of your market of members is more in the 30 range. So what we wanted to do is offer that 36 up to them versus being at a higher rate. And if you sign up between now and July 1st, well, we can grandfather in these rates for the second years, as long as you renew and you renew on time. So it's as you can see up there, it's 30 plus, it's $36 per property for the year, $3 a property a month, pretty inexpensive, $48, for 10 plus properties, and then $99 for 1+ properties. And so those are going up quite a bit come July. So this is a great time to take advantage of it. We do a lot of branding. We do a number of initiatives, from social media, syndication to content writing. We host all of your properties on our site. And then what we have is a conversion process. So, I think typically I've heard anywhere from under 1% of click-through to bookings on your websites. We're averaging 9% of the people that we vet through our system, and we move from our site onto your site.
That's great.
Yeah, and so we're also going to probably put on some more strategy calls like we're doing today for the group. And Corey, can you go to the last slide? This talks to what Blake and John were referring to.
And real quick, while we're going to that slide, I'll just remind everybody here that we can get you access to these slides, so you don't have to try and take pictures of this or screen save this. We'll make sure all our members have this. So we'll
right. And our contact information is below here, but I believe Corey's going to mail this out to everybody as well.
Right.
So what we want to do is, as a part of your marketplace and offering, is we want to give you, your association as well as the individual members more visibility with some direct links to your website from Fine Rentals. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. We can do that through social media. So we can actually link the properties back to you that we host. We also can do a thing that's very, very popular and actually works really well. We have these things called tower ads. So on our site, instead of being a banner ad, it's a tower ad. And that tower ad would have your logo, maybe a picture of the area, and then would have, 3 to 5 key SEO words. And we would actually backlink that to wherever you would like inside your website. And so normally we charge $1,500 annually, but we will package that up for $1,000 annually. Or if you want to try it out for 3 months, we'll do it for $300. So, and if it seems to work with you, then we can contract out for the annual rate. But it's a first come, first serve. So there's only one banner ad per city, region, sub-region, okay, per property manager. And Cindy, you can talk about the bumps that we get, with the property managers that we have. We have about 350 of them right now within our system. The kind of increase in volume and traffic they actually develop because of that.
Right, sure. So we're going to step back just a little bit with our, just our general subscription. We have been around since 2002. And never have we hidden the brand of the property managers. And I don't believe we ever will. I can tell you for certain, if Fine Rentals ever chose not to hide the brand of the property managers, I wouldn't be around. And I'm kind of work pretty heavily with the owners. So we're always going to put your brand out there. Your profile talks directly about you and highlights you. We put you in the sun. The tower ad is just an expansion of that, in where the reason we call it a tower ad is because it stands high above everything else on the page. It puts you in the forefront, and it can send that link directly to you. Knowing that that's a deal that Blake and John worked really hard to get you guys. Normally those links go first to your profile page and then out to your site. They worked real hard for their members, and they want to benefit their members to make sure that we would make those direct follow links for you guys. So, and a discount of $500. They really pushed my arm behind my back and got us there. So make sure you say thank you to them, because that's an amazing deal. Huge benefit when you have a national site saying that we're not the expert in this area. We have to forward you on to the expert, and the property manager is the expert. And that's exactly what Google sees that as when you send a follow link to another smaller site. They say they've got to be the local expert. That gives you SEO value long-term, along with all the links that we send you.
Thank you, Cindy. That's very nice of you to say that. But I will also say you've been a delight to talk with and work with, you and Stephen. And you've been very accommodating. So, but thank you very kindly. It's nice of you to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, did you want to go through the other two slides, or do we want to open it up for questions now? What do you guys think? I did have a couple other questions that we were going to cover, and one of them is interesting to me. I'd like to at least cover maybe one or two more. So if you guys, did you guys want to maybe cover a couple more questions, and then maybe we could go to talk about their slides, or what are your thoughts?
Absolutely.
Yep, let's shut the slides down and let everybody see and make it real.
Great. So one of the questions that I thought was very interesting is what is trending with travelers' demands today, right? What are they looking at doing? How do we, I touched on this earlier. Are we seeing them becoming more educated about Book Direct? What are trending with the travelers' demands? Blake, what are your thoughts on that?
It's basically at this point, and probably for the foreseeable future for the next few years, it's going to be hyper local. So you are going to be focusing on your drive-to markets within that sort of 100-mile, 150-mile radius. Within maybe a half day's drive, that's going to be your target, and that's where all the demand is right now. And as I said, it probably for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think as we slowly open up and you have the fly-to markets slowly open up, you're right. For now, it'll be the drive-to markets. I think Europe's still pretty much closed, shut down. I know Hawaii opened up recently, and they've just gone gangbusters. We have Ted on us. I can see him down there, and he's just he says he's having a banner year this year. I think he said he was already at 90% of his year already. So that's impressive.
Yeah, I can ditto that. I live in Savannah right now, in Charleston, South Carolina, and I walk out into the squares, and this is since June, because Savannah it's Georgia. They opened up way earlier than anybody else, and all of Florida shows up, and it's only a 2-hour drive from the border. So, I mean, all I see is license plates, that Florida license plates, up and down the squares, and so yeah, it's all drive-to,
Take advantage of some of those things you're talking about. So if you have a great beach, say, the best drive-to alternative from your Florida vacation, take advantage, convert those clients through your SEO. If you're a beach and it's a beach-like setting, summer everywhere. I'm in Minnesota. It's freezing here 90% of the time, but those 10 days that we get beach, it's better than Florida beach. And if I had properties and it was on a beach, I'd be saying the best place to go instead of Florida, in your local market. Get your kids and the dog in the car and let's go for a drive. It's really funny, if we all really are honest about what we've actually visited within 100 miles of where we live, and we all have great, wonderful things, we all will miss major things. You just tend not to go in your backyard. That's the education market that we really have got to get up there. Don't be afraid to do some of those seriously old-fashioned, old-school advertisings. Make sure you're on your Chamber of Commerce. Make sure if that there's like a really cool mall in your area, if they have a bulletin board, get it up on the bulletin board. If you can advertise on your local mall's website, do it. It's usually cheap, 50, 60 bucks. Those are great ways to make sure locals that travel to your area for other things know that they can travel and stay in the home of their dreams right with you guys.
Yeah, excellent point.
Just as something, it was an interesting point that Cindy made. If you're putting up flyers or anything like that, it's so easy to make a QR code now. Put a QR code up there to direct yourself.
Yeah, I know we're doing a lot of that right now and test marketing and doing the QR codes and putting up the little A-frames in the houses. And, one side of the QR code is your company, right? Your property management company. The other side is the NWBRP. So you can share within our trusted family. So yeah, absolutely. Great, really great points. So here's another one. I really like this one as well. Before we open it up to questions. What are some of the quick wins or low-hanging fruit that we can grab as property managers? What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
I think that some of the quick wins that I've seen is packaging. We've got quite a few travelers that come through our site, and you know, they if we don't have a property manager in an area, okay, they ask if we can make recommendations. And usually what happens is they're asking for more than just, you know, 4 adults and 2 kids, pet friendly, right? They're asking, can you throw in a kayak? Can you throw in a hot tub? You know, they're looking for extras as part of the package deal. So I think, you know, concierge type services are something that you're not going to get through an OTA. And so if you can package up, and there are different kinds of programs out there, some have vouchers, or companies out there that have vouchers, so they parlay up with, you know, maybe the local fishing establishments, and then those either they're free or they're added into the value of the property itself, but they're all packaged in deals because people are looking for experiences.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I would think that low hanging fruit would be, you know, sorry for being long winded on this, would be experiences.
Yeah.
How can you get an experience where then that person's going to go and make recommendations and reviews that are positive and tell their friends, and so.
Yeah, that's a great point. We do that here in Santa Cruz. We have deals with paddleboard companies, whale watching companies, kayaking companies, where we send them their way. They mention our name, they get a 10% discount. We get the backlinks. We do all that. Yeah, network within your market, network within your area. If you're in a wine region, maybe go out and work with the wineries. You know, if you're in the ski resorts, obviously offer ski package tickets, things like that. You know, another thing that we do that I find is it works really well, and some of our properties do it. And it's really funny you mentioned it, Stephen, is we put out little gift packages for them. We literally just had some owners of one of our top rated units on the beach. They get it, right? They went out and bought a whole case of visors that branded our logo across the top, along with the name of their house that we call Captain's Quarters, right? So it says Captain's Quarters managed by, you know, BeachNest and BeachNest.com. You know, we put that little visor in a little gift basket with a bottle of wine and some popcorn and cookies for the kids, and it works out really, really well. We get a lot of great feedback from it. So those are some of the things that we do. What do you do, Blake? Or what do you think about the quick wins and the low-hanging fruit?
Well, I was kind of thinking on 2 tracks on that question. The first is the guest track. The first low-hanging fruit is your past guests. Go back to them and get them to rebook. And if you want to offer incentive like a trip to a winery, or, you know, a discount stay, or, you know, send them out on an activity, you can do that. But they're the people of experience. They know you, they've stayed with you, and I would market directly to them right away. The next part of the low-hanging fruit is the damage that COVID has caused to the OTAs. It's exposed them greatly, and also has made it very difficult on the large aggregator consolidating type of property management companies. So the next low-hanging fruit is homeowners. So if you're looking at a homeowner acquisition strategy right now, it's a good time to do it because it's locally owned, locally operated. That personal touch at the local level is what people are going to be looking for. There's a lot of homeowners who are exhausted through all this, who have done it themselves, are having a hard time finding cleaners. You know, the places are not being cleaned properly. They're getting complaints. They're struggling with Airbnb. They're struggling with Vrbo, and they're like throwing up their arms. They're either selling their home and getting out of Dodge, or they're looking for somebody to just take that off their plate. So I would suggest go after homeowners right now that are all RBOs at the moment.
Yeah, great advice. And in my market, a lot of them are coming to us, like just what you said. I'm done. I'm frustrated. This is beyond fun anymore. Exactly. And I tell them, I just smile and I say, well, you know, happy to talk with you about it. And that's why, you know, this is an industry and this is a business, and you know, it comes with all the ups and downs of it. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Cindy?
Well, I think one of the best opportunities we have right now is we hear constantly, I'm fully booked until August. If you're not fully booked until August, or you're not booked in September, or whatever month it is, look at the market that's closest to you, drive to. So if you're looking at a 50-mile radius and everybody's booked, can't do nothing there. But if you're at a market where 75 miles out, they're booked and you're not, for 2 months down the road, partner with somebody 75 miles from you and say, during the times that I'm not booked, you're going to send me people. During the times that I'm booked, I'm going to send you people. Partner the way that hotels have done for years and years. If you walk into a hotel and they say, we're booked tonight, but do you know that there's a so-and-so there's an Indigo down the street, or there's a so-and-so down the street. Partner with your own property managers. Give strength to who we are as a group, and you will see huge benefit from that. I've seen other clients that have done it. Alabama and Florida work together. People's mindset of which one they wanted to go to was different. So Alabama was booked solid, but then they had a hurricane come through and took down 90% of their properties. They started feeding Florida. Florida's fully booked, and now the units are starting to open up, and Florida is referring customers back to them. It's still in the same drive-to market. It works great for weather. It works great for COVID. It works great for seasonality. Huge low-lying fruit. Be best friends to the 75-mile radius of property managers in your area. Make sure you're working together. Don't send those travelers to the OTAs. We all know what OTA stands for. It's an online travel agent. Vacation rental managers decided a long time ago they weren't going to be cruise line ships and have travel agents booking their homes for them. And then we paid people to do it. And they're not even people. They're just an online agency. So be friends with your property managers. They're as great as you are. Remember that. And take advantage of each other and book each other's units to the full capacity directly. And don't forget about Find Rentals, because we're pretty great too. We can help you get them filled up too. That's
Nice.
low-lying fruit. We just send them to you.
That's great. And I really like the radius. I mean, one of the nice thing about the NWBRP is, within our trusted marketplace ourselves, we do that. We refer when people ask, I have people ask, where are you going next? We're going to Oregon. Great. Here's our trusted partners up there. And that's wonderful. But I like the 75-mile thing you just picked, because for me, I already do that here in Santa Cruz. We work with, the 4 top largest PMs, and when we're out, we refer them to them. We're like, hey, we don't have anything, but please go to our good friends at Beach House Rentals, right? Vince and Dee would take care of them. I know that, and same with Kendall and Potter and Rita, my good friend over there.
Yeah.
So, but I like expanding that circle within my drive-to market. That's really, really good point. Really appreciate that. So, hey, we're wrapping up here. We're coming up on the 2 o'clock hour. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But I do want to, ask if there's any last questions. Does anybody have any other questions from any of the attendees before we, sign off? I'm happy to stay on a little longer. If you have some questions, that's fine. But I do want to be respectful of people's times. So does anybody have any questions? You can either unmute and ask, or put it in the chat box, either one. And so while I'm kind of waiting for that, I do want to take this time and opportunity to thank my panel here, Blake and Cindy and Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us and all the insight. Really, I thought it was a great topic. And as Blake said before, many of the stuff we just discussed, we're going to be discussing in our conference in October. I hope to see everybody there, including our new members from Find Rentals. So you guys could definitely please join us and continue all the wonderful insight. So I don't think anybody. Oh, Nicole has raised her hand. Nicole, what's your question? You can.
I don't have a question, but I have worked with Find Rentals for several years. I think 3 or 4. I think there was a previous stint, and then we kind of gapped for a few years and came back. But you guys have always been. They've always been really nice to work with. I've always, of course, appreciated the philosophy and the customer service and quick responses. The rates have, I feel like are a good value. I get very good feedback. I don't know if any other members or any of you board members, since you've signed them on with this, have worked with them a lot, but the reports that we get are right on it. Like, they tell me how many clicks. I go to my analytics. It's the exact amount of clicks. There's no fluff there. So they've just been really nice philosophy and nice customer service, which I think is really good for our organization. So I'm glad that they're partnering and giving everybody the kind of bonus to work with them. So that's really nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Nicole.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation right there for anybody who's looking. we already have a member working, one of our great members, Nicole's working with him, and they're having a great experience. So that's awesome. Really appreciate that. And
Yeah,
again,
thank you.
to everybody here, we will email out those slides, and they have Steve and Cindy's contact on them. And please, take advantage of at least talking with them, booking a meeting with them, seeing what they have to offer. I know I'll be doing it soon. So yeah, just thanks again for everybody for your time, and we'll.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, and take care. You guys go out and have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.
I will.
Great.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Stace.
Thanks.
All right. Went well, huh?
It went great.